Bless, bless, bless. It's your host, Sean Myrie of the Down to Earth podcast with my brother, Rastafari Samurai. We got a special guest like no other. A real MC from Toronto, a legend, Danny O. What you saying, brother?
What's good, brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Loud and clear, brother.
Okay, good. I'm glad because my screen froze. So can you guys see me?
Hold up.
Let's see.
Wait up. Your screen froze. We could hear you. You might have to all right, just click back in and out.
All right, I'm gonna do that. Sorry, fellas, man.
That's
Me
all
and
right.
Not a
me and
problem. Not a problem,
me and
man.
me and
Down
Tech
to
never
Earth.
get along. I don't know what it is, but
No problem, brother.
it's messing
Yeah,
with me.
man. The
Let me try this
Vigilante
again.
album. Danny O just came out with it a couple months ago.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
guessing,
Some
right?
real hip hop.
Real hip hop.
Real.
You guys got to check it out on all digital platforms. I listen to from like number. It's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 tracks.
Mm.
Lyrical masterpiece. I did a review on it about a month ago, and yo, I was listening to it over and over and over again. This is something if to listen to if you love hip hop,
Some
right?
real hip hop.
Real
If you're
hip
a
hop,
real hip hopper from back in the day up till now, you'll know that this is some real hip hop from this album. You know what I'm
especially
saying?
if you're from Toronto.
Straight up. Yes.
We got him in.
It's happening
All
just
right.
right.
Can you guys
Daniel.
hear me okay?
Oh
Yep,
yeah. Loud and
perfectly.
clear, brother.
Okay, good. I'm on a whole different thing. This laptop was messing with me, so I'm gonna use a
That's all
different
right,
device here.
man.
Oh,
Thanks,
you're
brothers.
nice and clean. We can
Nice
see
and
everything.
clean, yo. So,
Perfect.
yo,
Keeping it fresh.
we already know you are a legend. You already done put in your work. You have this latest album called Vigilante,
Yes,
and
sir.
trust me, like besides being a fan, like I really took this in as just hip hop,
Yes, sir.
everywhere, all around like the world, the universe, a breath of fresh air, if you want to call it that.
Could I just start off saying thank you. Thank you for putting out some real hip hop, man. You know what I'm saying? Because on
Man.
the real, why I'm saying this, because my brother always says this. I hardly listen to some of the new stuff. I do, don't get me
Right.
wrong, but when it comes to the new, like I'm really critical.
I feel you. I'm the same way, and let me return the thanks and thank you, man, because you posted that incredible review of the album, and we were
Respect.
talking off air about how they don't do enough reviews anymore. But I really appreciate the review you taking in the whole album, and the fact of the matter is I've been pushing this album since before it dropped in May, and not everybody really digs into the music before doing interviews with me. And something that
Mhm.
I appreciate more than anything is people digging into my lyrics or concepts or topics or what have you, and understanding the content of the music before we talk about it, as opposed to just asking me to talk about it before they hear it. So you guys went above and beyond, and not just listen to it, but dropped a review. And I appreciate all the love. It means a
It's not
lot.
just
Thank you.
that too. Playlist, and I keep listening to it. Like, if you're a real person for the culture and you really love this genre, hip hop, you're gonna. I'm gonna get the record. I'm gonna order that record. What you have
Yeah,
there,
man.
and see, like, you know what I mean, and
Yes,
play it
sir.
on my record, the vinyl for my
Gotta
record
get it to
player.
you. Yes, sir, man. Yeah, we got a link, man. I appreciate that, man. Any
Yo,
support is
so yo,
always
you have
appreciated.
at least what 13 tracks on this album?
This 12.
12. You correct me. Actually, I know. I put that down. 12. So the
Yes, sir.
Vigilante one, where did you come up with this concept to call your album Vigilante?
Yeah, you know what, brother? During the course of the pandemic, I got into Death Note, which is a Japanese anime series on Netflix based on a
Mhm.
manga graphic novel. And also the final, it's actually not the final, but what was the final season of Dexter, the Dexter New Blood series
Ah,
came out.
Oh, I watched that.
Yeah, and anybody knows me knows I'm a mega fan of Dexter. What's funny? I'll even show you this. I got my drink of water, and this is my the coaster it sits on. This is a this is one of Dexter's blood slides. It's a coaster.
yeah.
Yeah, I got Dexter coasters, so I'm a fan of that show. So, Dexter in his series and the character of Light from Death Note are both vigilantes. These are
Mm.
people who take out those who they consider to be evil, wrongdoers, murderers, etc. Blah blah blah. Anyone knows the concept of
I
either
see. I know the
series knows that.
concept.
Oh yeah.
I see the
And
concept.
I've always been pretty. um like enthralled, I guess is a word I'll use, by vigilantism, because I believe in justice. I believe in
Mm,
doing what's right. And too
yeah,
often the law is not just, and unjust things happen without people getting punished for it. And during the course of the pandemic, we were bearing witness to things like George Floyd's murder or
yeah,
Ahmaud Arbery's murder and a vast array of things that were just horrible that we had more time to take in because we were locked down, sitting at home, taking in all of this shit that was happening.
yeah.
So I decided to put all my angst and frustration into my music and decided that I was going to be a Dexter or a Light or a Danny O version of being a vigilante and take out my angst on all of these different things. And that's why the album is titled what it is. And that's why the content is as serious as it is.
And I was listening to because I was taking in the lyrics because I'm an MC myself, not a
Yeah.
commercial MC. You could call me underground, but that's why I really listen to the lyrics. And you were like, I don't know, it's like it's your superpower, right? Like you
Thank
were
you,
like
man.
bringing it, like you know what I mean, telling people that where you stand as a artist, a MC in Canada. You get what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Toronto, if you because I feel, and I'm straight up. I have no filter. If you know who Sean Mary is,
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of artists in Toronto, especially the vets who don't get their flowers. I feel they're
Word.
still not getting their flowers, and we talk
Yeah.
about all the ones who are getting the spotlight now commercially, but Daniel is I'm gonna you can stop me whenever is one of the foundations of Toronto hip hop as
I
a
ain't going to stop you.
MC. Hmm?
I ain't going to
No, it's
stop you.
true though. It's facts.
It
Yeah. I
is facts
appreciate
because on the real, and no one doesn't know. I'm gonna say it again. On the real, people, if they don't remember a show called Electric Circus, it was one of
it.
the main urban
Yep.
Yeah.
dance and like countdown for hip hop art and dancing, art and all of that. But
Mhm.
you got to debut yourself on there for the first time in the media. You know what I'm saying?
One
Straight
of the
up,
Yeah.
first
one
times.
of the first time.
Yeah.
So
I, I was talking about that earlier today, how that show was basically responsible for kind of launching my career into the whole world of music because I had entered a contest, 13 years old, with a song called Can't Test Me, which was basically me trying to be Big Daddy Kane, who was my favorite rapper. And it was basically battle rap. And that's what it was. It was a battle and that essentially, and shouts to my brother Lindo P, who we created this Partners in Rhyme group and we won the contest. That's how it all got started. And that officially is the oldest footage available of me. It is on YouTube. Anyone who wants to punch in Danny O, Lindo P, Can't Test Me, Electric Circus, Partners in Rhyme, any of that will help you find the video, and you'll see me rhyming at 13 and getting my start in the game.
I would
Uh,
have to say that's one of the first times seeing you going on like a vigilante right
well,
there.
I
You
Yeah.
do
know what I
I do
mean?
myself. I do have a Danny O story. I'll tell you a little bit later. But I'm gonna go run through some of the album, right?
Yeah.
So
Cool.
you got Overrun, right?
Yes.
With Corey Dees. Am I
Yes,
saying it
sir.
right? That
Corey
that
D's
one.
from the Mighty Monolith. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that one. I was feeling that. I'm feeling all the songs, man. Straight up, I can't
Thank
say I
you.
wasn't feeling anyone. I was listening. I was feeling all of them. This is like album nonstop action lyricism,
Big
right?
up, man. Well, thank you for bringing that up. Overrun. So like I said, Corey D's in that track. So anyone who knows me knows I'm a member of the crew Monolith.
Yep,
I often get
Monolith.
asked about Monolith because we haven't recorded as a group, but we have never broken up as a family. So we still work together. I mean, Charisma produced half the album. That's a Monolith member. Corey
Mm,
D's is on a track. Nish is on a track. Those are all Monolith members. So ain't nothing changed in terms of the crew being my crew. And Overrun and the song, the title track, Vigilante, begin the album because I wanted there to be an introduction to who the
mm,
vigilante is and what the vigilante is all about. Like, why should you even pay attention to the messaging on the album before hearing what type of lyricist I am? And my
mm.
objective in the first two songs, Vigilante and Overrun, was to spit the type of bars that would get the attention of any real hip hop head or anyone who kind of respects lyricism and know, okay,
Yep,
whether you've heard of Daniel or you never heard of me before, those two songs are meant to capture your attention and go, okay, this
and I
guy's
felt
serious
that.
with the pen. So I'm gonna listen to the rest of this album because the album is now being set up to bring about all the messaging that comes next.
But the other one, what's coming up, and I love this one with a great artist once again from
Yeah.
Toronto, Blessed, and
Yeah,
it's
man.
like we. I thought this was like a response to something, but you know what? This track, like we, it's talking about social media and
Right.
and other things, and reminding people where you come from before
Right.
all of this.
Can I ask
Exactly.
a question? Can I ask a question? How
Yeah.
long did the album take to make?
It was a good process of about 3 or so years, bro.
Wow.
That's why it's
Um,
talking from the COVID, those times.
Yeah, so in and around the inception of COVID, like my last album, The Day It All Changed, dropped a few months before the pandemic. So I really not didn't have the opportunity to do a whole lot with it. That's why I released a remix version of it because outside of a few music videos, touring, all that kind of stuff, I didn't really get to push it. We were all locked down. So
Okay.
Vigilante, when the pandemic started, kind of came by way of like just being in this space, wanting to overcome the mental health issues that I was dealing with, both personally and then, like I said, all of these things that have been happening in the world. So social media was one of the topics that I felt necessary to attack because that's what most of us were doing during the pandemic. We're just on social. We're not out really much anymore. We're on
Hmm.
social media and we're seeing all this shit go down. And some of the shit that goes down is a whole heap of lying and fronting and
Yeah.
faking to be cool. I mean, it's still going down. You don't need the pandemic for people to be fake on social
So,
media. But I
like
thought
we,
to
when you what gave you the idea to get like like the reggae into it, like mix it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. To be perfectly honest with you, I just knew I needed it. I wrote the lyrics, and the beat is just like a boom bap hip hop beat. And something told me I needed a kind of attitude on the record, something to like drive home the point. And yeah, it was a reggae vocalist. I just knew I just knew I needed it. I don't know. Something in me said this was the right thing to do. I hadn't worked with Blessed since my second album 20 years ago. He's on my See No Evil, Hear No Evil album.
Hmm.
He and Lindo P, who I just mentioned was on Electric Circus with me, was
Yes.
on that record. And I just like, yo, man, it's been too long. I got to reach out to him. And he couldn't have blessed, literally, that's his name, Blessed. He
That's
couldn't have
true.
blessed the track any better than what he did. And he turned it into like a hit, man.
Bring
It's
back
the
the
perfect
foundation.
person. It's the perfect person for
He
that.
is
Perfect.
definitely,
Bring back the
Perfect.
definitely. And
You got
foundation.
that's a gem. That track is gonna be every track on here is gonna be keep playing, but that one, like
appreciate that.
it'll play in Jamaica. It'll play. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. I was really happy to do that with him, and it turned into the first music video from the album, and was super blessed to work with him, Flea Normality, who shot and directed it, and yeah, one of my best videos. I remember how happy Blessed was too. He's like, "This is the best video I've ever done," so we're really happy about
Ah,
that.
that's big. That's big, man. And then you
Yeah, that was
got
cool.
I'm breaking down some of your tracks. Yeah, your
Yeah,
bad self. That one had a little um thing in there. Message talking about
yeah.
people.
So you'll notice like there's a theme now where I'm speaking predominantly to the youth about social media. The next
Yep.
song is about gun violence. So of course I'm still talking to the youth now because especially not just in Toronto, but this song was primarily focused on Toronto. Is that the youth them, man, when they resort to violence, or when they, as I was saying to somebody earlier today, we're all
Mm.
emotional. We're human beings. We feel, and a lot of people act hard as if they're not feeling because they don't have emotions. When the truth is, when you resort to violence, you're feeling an extreme amount of emotion that you feel you have to react that way. And of course, it's the worst way to react because we're taking each other's lives in the streets. And I've been to funerals of teenagers, man, and it's just not, that's not the move. It's not, it just not supposed to be that way. So I felt really, it was really important to me to have an anti-gun violence song on the album. And I've long hated gun violence and
Mm.
see no place for it in our world. So yeah, that was one of the things that the Vigilante had to attack. Social media first, gun violence next, and that's how the album is going so far.
You have a social theme too, like
Yes.
dealing with a lot of those stuff. Because
Yeah.
I'm coming to the other track, and
Right.
this track I love it too. Turn it around, right?
Yeah, man.
With Eccentric, that
With
one's
Century, yeah. So to
Eccentric.
me, that's when the album really I consider Turn It Around to be the heart of the album. For anybody who's paid attention to the incredible artwork created by my brother Doug Knight, you'll
Nice.
see that the vigilante is lynching a clan member. And
Whew.
that actually speaks directly from the
Yeah.
turn it around. And you see he's also hanging from a branch. That's an
Hmm.
AR-15. But anyways, that's the your bad self messaging and the turn it around messaging, because In Turn It Around, I take listeners on a history lesson. The first thing is to go in recent history. Just a couple of
Hmm.
years ago, there was, and there's thousands of things we could bring up, but I talk about the Buffalo shooting, where the
Yes.
white supremacists specifically targeted black people and murdered 10 of them. In the
Hmm.
second verse, we go back 100 years to the Ocoee massacre. In Ocoee, Florida, in November of 1920, the Ku Klux Klan massacred dozens of black people just to prevent them from voting. It was election day. And I
Crazy.
felt the need to juxtapose that with George Floyd, who was murdered in 2020. So we got a century separating, ironically, we got a century separating these massacres of black
Yeah.
people. And of course, that century, all throughout it, this has been happening. So the point of the song was to show that racism is not some old thing that used to happen, it
Mm.
continues to happen. Just discussing it isn't the cause of racism. Discussing it is how we hopefully spread the knowledge of how to maybe hopefully curb it, change it, eradicate it. That's what the vigilante's job was. And I felt it really necessary to really lay into the racist rhetoric that's been happening, especially we're currently in a year where the United States is having an
Yeah.
election. And we all know the two sides of the story there. And I comment on that in the song as well. So,
Oh,
arguably the
okay.
most important record from Vigilante.
You have it's like a continuation now. You have a century on the other one. Cleanse my
Correct. And it
soul.
is, yeah, and it is a continuation because the way that the song ends with Century singing, Cleanse My Soul begins with Century continuing to sing. So those songs work in tandem. In fact, if you pay strong attention to the album, you'll see that all songs work in tandem.
Yes.
Vigilante and Overrun are the introduction to the lyricist that is Vigilante to pay attention to. Like We and Your Bad Self are the two
Mhm.
songs directed toward the youth regarding their use of social media and guns. And then the final two songs of side A, I'm old school like that. Side A, so you got Turn It Around and Cleanse My Soul. That attacks racism and self-hatred within the black community, which I think is one of the absolute worst things to come out of racism is black people hating themselves.
Yes.
So I take
Willy-nilly.
shots at Kanye and the like who think that somehow black people have done this thing to themselves that they need to get themselves out of, as if centuries of oppression hasn't brought us to where we currently are. And
Mm.
self-hatred, as they say in the song, is costly. um,
Facts.
and yeah, yeah, man, at the end of Turn It Around, I comment on that and call out Candace Owens, and that spills into Cleanse My Soul, where I call out Kanye. So again, those songs work in tandem, and that's why Century helps to weave them together so beautifully.
Perfect.
Shouts to Century, man.
Perfect. Shouts out.
Yeah.
And now you have Pass Away. I know you have
Mhm.
a track. I'm trying to remember. Oh, no, no. I think it's. I'll get to that one. You have a
Yeah, yeah,
controversial one. I'm gonna come to.
yeah,
But Pass Away. Tell us
yeah.
about that one.
Yeah, so as we flip it over to side two, um, I do another couplet, two songs dealing with a toxic relationship that I was once in. One
Mm.
of the things that I've battled as the vigilante is, these are all social ills that I'm discussing. Now it gets super personal because in a relationship that I was in, I was feeling the brunt of someone who was experiencing retroactive jealousy. I didn't know what
Mhm.
retroactive jealousy was until I had to research her behavior, and she was jealous of my past. And so Passed Away is a song about she can't put my past away. And the double entendre, of course, is the relationship ended up dying, right? And passing away because she couldn't overcome her jealousy. And I couldn't be in a place where, I was continually judged for anything that happened prior to the relationship. So both that song and the song that follows it,
Mm.
Psychokinetic,
I like
focus in on that relationship and that topic, which is deeply personal.
You
So the
broke it
vigilante
down
had to
good.
kill that too, man.
Seems like a therapeutic album.
Yes.
Absolutely. For
Yes.
sure. When I was writing the album, I was hoping that while it's therapy for me, like literally me discussing these topics through my music really did help me. I know we're going to get into Mismatch next because that was the most therapeutic. Like to write about it, to get it
I
out
know about that one.
really helped. And I know that, or I hope anyways, that people listening to it and I've thanked some of my favorite feedback of the album are people who said they can directly relate and it helped them to hear these songs, you know?
Mm. So Mismatch, because I
Yeah.
kind of had a podcast based off of that whole event, right? You
Right.
you,
Yes.
you referenced something about, okay, you're talking about yourself as an artist,
Yeah.
and because I listen real good, and then you referenced the Toronto All Stars, North
Yeah,
Stars were
yeah.
all
The Northern All Stars, the
a lot of
OVO
yeah,
Fest
a lot
event.
of the legends were invited, and I helped the one get invited. I won't
Yeah.
say who, but
Okay.
I should have said you. But what it's called? Like, tell us a little bit about that one. That one's a little aggressive. That one.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, I've been talking about the album and the way that I've formatted it, and having every two songs represent a sort of theme, and we move on to the next theme and the next theme and the next theme. Mismatch sort of stands on its own as to where I've come, having battled all of these different things, and where it's placed me in my status of mental health. Everything that I've discussed so far has brought me to this place where I feel really low on myself because of all these things. And specifically, as I talk about in this song, in addition to facing all of these things in my life and that's going on in the world, I have this career as an artist that I've been grinding for decades. And sometimes it feels like I'm completely underappreciated or not respected or whatever. And sometimes that gets to me. The OVO Fest wasn't like a one specific thing that like bothered
Yeah.
me. It just happened to be like the culmination of a lot of things. For
Yes.
example, um, that summer my brother got married, and I was super proud of him. I was the best man at the wedding. It was the best wedding I've ever been to at the time of my life. And then he was on his honeymoon. And sometimes this just happens to you, bro. I'm sitting there going, man, he's doing real good. I don't have my lady. I ain't this. I ain't that. I
Yeah.
don't. And it's like it's not just music. It's like I'm not accomplishing anything. And sometimes we put ourselves through that. In
Yeah.
the I know we're gonna get to this later, but in the Sober Sunday record, I refer to there being layers in life. Life is lasagna. Each layer is a greater trauma. And I was layering my problems, meaning I'm not just mad at the relationship ending or upset about this, but my music is here and oh, now Drake's doing something and everybody's on stage. Nobody told me about it. I'm just layering these problems and feeling sorry for myself. And that's why writing Mismatch was one of the most interesting experiences of the album, bro, because I didn't actually write it with the intent of writing a song for the album. I just was in my feelings, bro. And
I could tell.
I was
Mhm.
playing Charisma's beat. It wasn't the first time I heard the beat. I remember he always sends me beat batches, and this was the first beat in that batch, and I had overlooked it. Later, as I'm sitting there in my feelings, I play the beat, and somehow the beat was like, this beat sounds like how I feel. And all of a sudden, I started writing how I felt. And as you know, you listen to Mismatch, I just kept writing. I didn't know what it was going to turn into. I did not write a hook. I didn't turn it into like a traditional song. I just kept writing till there was nothing left to
I could
write.
tell.
44 bars later, like I said, no hook. I had gotten it all out. And what I didn't even realize in the process of writing is that this was going to be a therapeutic process, because I don't just discuss my angst and problems and everything and how I'm feeling. I talk about how I overcome it. I talk about the support I get from my brother Kish. I talk about how I realize that, you know what, man, I'm really worth more than sometimes I allow myself to feel. And
Yeah.
writing Mismatch itself helped me get out of that funk. And that's why the song ended up being titled what it was, is because the world versus me, the world is being mismatched. You can't take Danny out. The vigilante's gonna win. And that song sort of serves as, if this was a movie,
Hmm.
this would be the song that shows the vigilante, beating the bad guys at the end, because the songs that follow are the celebration songs. They're the back to lyricism with my crew and other
Hmm.
MCs who are riding with me songs. So Mismatch is an important sort of ending and transition in the album, which hopefully people can listen to and go, yo, no matter what I'm going through, there's a way to overcome it. And that's basically the end message of that song.
So now you got Supreme.
Yes, sir. So right back to basics, man. This whole thing started with Monolith. It continues with Monolith. Nish is one of
Hmm.
my favorite rappers in the world. Not because he's my brethren, not because he's in Monolith, but he's just one of the dopest MCs in the world. And we had worked together decades ago as Monolith, and he's been on my older albums. And I was just like, dude, it's past due. We got to do a new record. And we did. And I just thought it was the perfect, slap him in the face with bars record. After the vigilante is taking care of all this business, it's back to bars. And I do it with my brethren. Almost like to say, like superheroes, if you will, have, their own crew. Well,
Yeah.
Nish is in mine. So he had to come and be, his
The
own version.
dynamic duo.
Yeah, dynamic duo. Exactly, bro. Exactly.
And then you got what's it? Barsman?
Barsman, yeah. And that was my posse cut. Like I'm old school, so I
I
love
like
posse
that.
cuts. I
Decisive
love
and Quake Matthew. Is it Quake?
Quake Matthews, yeah,
Matthew, yeah.
Decisive and Jay Schilt. So what's really dope about that song? I invited a lot of MCs to be on that, but yo, those dudes just spit fire. So I was like, yo, and that's what a barsman is, right? A lyricist, a true MC,
Mhm.
someone who spits bars. And I'm like, yeah, let me just coin this term and turn it into a record. I work with Decisive and known him for so long, and we never officially put out a record together, although we did some work together. So I'm glad he jumped on it. Quake Matthews, I met in his hometown of Halifax when I was on tour in 2022. You guys, of course, remember the hip hop food drive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I was out in Halifax, me and Quake bucked up, and I'm like, he immediately was like, yo, let's do a record. So I was like, bam. And Jay Schiltz, shouts to him, Saga's own. Jay Schiltz just put out his album also on Urbnet. Shouts to Urbnet celebrating their 25th anniversary. The label that put out my album and his. So I'm on his album, he's on mine, and he's a barsman too. So we had to do it.
And you got the last track, what you were mentioning earlier, sober.
Sorry, I'm doing so much talking. I'm coughing. Yeah,
Don't
Sober
worry about
Sunday
it.
had
I'll
to
be
wrap
doing
it
some
up
talking.
because, like I was saying earlier, I've kind of introduced the album, gone through everything I needed to tackle, came back with the lyricism, and now this is my thank you to my parents. Um, I lost my dad in 2017. God bless. I still got my mom, and they are two people who have been supportive in their own unique ways. Like
Yeah.
I used to butt heads with my dad, but one thing my dad was always good for, supporting my music. You go
Oh,
back to my first album, he's on my first album. He does the introduction to
that's good.
the
That's good,
bullfight
man.
song,
That's
Corrida de
classic.
Toros.
That's classic,
Um,
man.
yeah, excuse me, sorry. And I also thought it was important to kind of pay a little tribute to my ethnicity, right? Because I got a Jamaican mother and a Spanish father, and I wanted to shout that out, which we also do in the video, which I'm proud of.
Hmm.
And that song also represents a bucket list moment for me because I've been a big he's also on the top of the charts in terms of my favorite artist ever. So working with Socrates was something I've always wanted
Oh,
to do.
legend.
Yeah, another legend.
We've
Yeah.
Yeah.
done shows and all kinds of stuff, but never a record. So that song also is an interesting one in that it's the only song from the album that didn't have a concept before I gave it to the artist. Every other song, I had written the lyrics, and the song titles were like the social media song, the
Hmm.
racism song, the hatred song, the jealousy
Hmm.
song, or joint. I call them joint, jealousy joint, racism joint. All that were the titles until the hooks were created based on the concept. And then they
Hmm.
came up with titles. Sober Sunday, I sent Sox 3 tracks, and he chose that one. It was like he knew the concept of the album and what I needed and what I wanted. And what he did was so beautiful. I'm like, bro, it's perfect. This is how I'm going to end the album because if this is a movie, the climax has happened. This is the end credit. Sober Sunday is like, man, I've been through it. I've gone through it. I'm coming out on the other end a winner. And shouts to mom and pops for being there. In the specific lyric for my mom, I talk about her support through my personal relationship struggles. So it's almost a callback to the passed away and psychokinetic songs because that's when I was dealing with that drama. And she
Hmm.
was there for me there. Mismatch and the songs about like just me as an MC and my place in the business.
Yeah.
My dad was there to support me through that. So that's my thank you and my the end off to the denouement, if you will, to the Vigilante album. And that's
So,
how it wraps up.
Daniel, I'm gonna give you this right now
Okay.
because how I rate
Yeah.
an artist, and coming. This is home, Toronto. I'm just gonna say it right now. How I rate an artist. It's not just the music, right?
Yeah.
I rate somebody from their
Right, bro.
character. And for
Word.
sure, 100% from day one, season one, because we're on season 9 right now.
Word up.
You connect
Congrats,
with
man.
us, no respect, man.
Yeah, that's
No
dope.
ego, no ego. No, I'm gonna have to say it a couple times. No ego. And this is a legend who put in work, helped build up the foundation of Toronto hip hop, and when I rate somebody, and sorry to the rest, like respect to whoever, right? But and it's just me, right? I'm rating you in my books because how humble you are, and I see how you work with other people as
Thank
the
you,
number one, my number one hip hop Toronto artist
man.
because of the
That's
character.
huge. That's huge.
Right?
That man. That's
Well, for
huge.
me,
That means a
for
lot to
me,
me.
Daniel,
Thank you.
I have to say this, man, straight up. You put a stamp for hip hop for me. Like,
But I'm saying you
no,
the
no,
best.
no, no, I don't. But look, for Toronto hip hop, you put a stamp for me because when it comes to hip hop, when it comes to different coasts, there's certain tracks, there's certain albums and stuff like that. But there's that one track what keeps on flowing through my mind from
I
back in
know
the
what he's
day
gonna
till
say. I know
now.
he loves it.
Dear hip hop.
I thought we were gonna escape without a dear hip hop. Yeah, no, of course, of
Dear
course.
hip hop is
That's my
stamped.
brother, man. He
It's
digs. He digs.
stamped in my head for life from the time I heard it the first day, from day one till now.
I know.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man. Here we
Straight
go.
up, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Dear hip hop.
But yeah, like I was saying, your flowers. I'm saying by character
Thank
and
you.
MC. No one could never deny. If they say, "Who are you talking about, Daniel?" Go look up Daniel.
Yeah,
Listen to his albums and let me try to compare somebody you know to his lyricism and how he puts things together, right?
man.
And the quality, the work you could tell. And I'm straight up. I listen to a lot of music. Respect to all the legends, to Maestro, to Mishi Me, to Socrates, to Choclair. But yo, straight up, you haven't come down to earth yet. And I talked to some of you.
Word.
I'm just saying.
Well, man, I appreciate it. I'm really humbled by that, bro, because that's the shit running through my mind. Like, yo, I'm the best to do this, but I keep it humble because I let the music do the talking. I'll
Right.
brag all day in the music because I believe everything that I'm saying, but I
Well,
also believe.
I could say it. I could say it, and no one
Yeah,
can
and that's
stop
why I
me.
appreciate it. But I also believe in like standing on your own too and going like, here's how I am as a human because I might believe in my talent and my music and all that stuff, but it doesn't necessarily make you a better person than anybody else.
No,
It's how you treat other people. And I've
you said it
always
perfectly.
been a fan too, and I'm still a fan. Like I have autographs and photos of some of my favorite artists, and like how they treat me has always been the top thing of how I measure them. Like when I got to interview the Whispers in 2015, and I have like 17 of their albums behind me, all autographed. These dudes aren't just legends who are still touring today,
Mhm.
started in the 60s, have platinum and gold records. Like they are absolute legends in the game. But meeting them and realizing how cool and down to earth they are,
Mm.
that's like now they're forever stamped as a tapas. You know what I'm saying? Like I never
That's
got to
how I
meet
feel.
that,
That's how
and
I
that's why
feel.
I appreciate you saying that, and that's why I also am the way that I am because there's never ever a reason, bro, ever to treat anybody with disrespect who didn't disrespect you first. When people shout me, holler, want to take a photo, autograph, buy a CD, whatever, I have nothing but appreciation,
Because
man. So
honestly, there's people with good music, but they sometimes don't have the balance. They have a
for
shitty
sure,
attitude.
and I've
You get what I mean?
experienced that. Yeah,
And I
and I've
experienced
experienced that.
that.
Sometimes they say never meet your heroes.
Right.
So now that you have this album, are you doing planning to do a little bit like a little tour, like kind of maybe later on or something?
Yeah, I mean, the focus is always the live show. There is nothing I like more in my career than to perform live. So I'm thankful I knocked out a few really dope shows throughout the summer, opening for Slick Rick.
Big.
Um, was on the Raekwon show, thanks to Maloney. Shouts to him.
Bless
I
up.
was in Barrie, I was in London, and so I'm just sort of getting the wheels rolling here. I'm scheduled to be in Ottawa for the next hip hop food drive in December. So hey, listen, anybody out there who's a promoter, holler at your boy because I promise you, I can't be out rhymed or outperformed. Now I'll do a
And you
little
know what?
bragging. I
You could
can't be
perform.
outperformed, so I'm
You
looking
have
forward to
both.
getting on that stage continually.
You have both, Daniel. You have it in the studio, and you have it on the stage, and you have it the
Thank you,
character.
man.
This is
Thank
well,
you.
I would say the ultimate MC, right? The
Oh
ultimate MC.
man, I appreciate you saying it. Someone else had to do it. Thank you.
Yo, trust me.
I just believe so strongly in that, man. Like I studied this game. I went to my first concert when I was 12. It was special ed. He was performing at the concert hall. And I remember my dad bringing me and my brother J Trill to this concert and picking us up after. And I
Mhm.
watched him perform. And I remember at the end of the show, the sound went out. The mics were still on, but the music cut. And his big hit back then was I Got It Made. You know, I Got It
Yeah,
Made by Special
big,
Ed.
big.
And because the music wasn't playing, the whole crowd, man, this was a real Toronto crowd in the 90s. The whole
Uh,
crowd started going, bum, bum, bum,
uh,
bum, bum, and Special Ed rhymed over us doing that. And I'm like, That's a real MC. Like he's showing me how to perform. The show must go on. The music
Yeah,
wasn't playing, but it didn't matter. Today we're in a world where brothers, sisters too, rhyming over the vocals. We're talking about MCing,
I
connecting
know.
with your audience. So I
Yeah.
studied every artist that I ever watched live and made sure that when I was on stage, I had to bring it. I had to connect with my audience and bring it. Cause like Rakim said, to me, MC means move the crowd. And those are words I live by.
Well,
Mhm.
I have a Daniel story, and I think you
Okay.
were around. My brother, you were around when we back in the days. He didn't know who we were. Remember our elevation? Our friends were promoters, and we were going to a studio, and he said that they said Danny was gonna be there, right? Danny, and I said I was young at this time. I said, who? Like I know who Daniel is. But I said like you guys are acting like Daniel's this soft MC. Like I said, Daniel's this guy's a real MC. Like our friends thought they thought they're like Puff Daddy or something like that, right? So we went to the studio and I saw you were on the radio with one of your friends and I said, "Yo, this guy is lyrical, man. You guys, no
Mm.
one's gonna." I think they wanted to try to test it, like I don't know what they were trying to tell me to test Danny or something like that. But that's my story. I saw you. You were in the studio with Scarborough, the East End, and you were like,
Word.
I already knew like this guy's like one of the top MCs in all of Toronto. What are you guys telling me? Like you guys
Respect,
don't know
brother.
you guys don't
Thank
know
you,
who this
man.
guy is? This was like 20 how much years? Almost 22 years ago.
Wow,
It's almost
bro. It's
22
crazy how
years
much
ago.
time has passed. It trips me out sometimes. But it's all because of my mindset, bro. Like I came into this, like I said, performing a song called Can't Test Me on Electric Circus. So I already had that attitude, that best
Yeah.
MC in the world attitude. And I it's a top objective of mine with everything I do, no matter what the song topic is or show or event that I'm performing at. It's like it's to be the best. And I've never let go of that energy. So I appreciate you saying all that because I'm really that's what I'm going for.
And
you
that's
know.
why I say thank you for keeping it up, man. That's
Keeping
why
it.
I say
Mhm.
thank you for that, man. Keeping the real hip hop alive.
So where
Respect.
can we get your album, like the physical album? To
Yeah.
we could get it on all digital platforms, but
That's right. Well, first of all, anybody in the city of Toronto can hit me up. I'll link with you. You want to buy the album? By the way, it's orange. Let me just get this fire orange going. This is the Vigilante album right
Ooh,
here, baby.
nice.
So the
nice.
fire orange vinyl is available directly from me, but of course, it's also online. You can go straight to my website, dannyo.com, dan-e-o. It's at Urbnet, the label, urbnet.com. It is in stores like Plady. Shouts to Play the Record, who
Mhm.
I know is stocking it. Yeah, man, anywhere where they're selling records, they can order it. But if you in Toronto, you can hit me directly. If not, definitely go online. Your quickest bet is through the Danio or Urbnet websites.
We're gonna need one for the studio to put like right here or
Let's
somewhere
go,
around.
man. I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you.
Yeah, man. You just DM us anything, all the info. But man, like,
Yeah.
what do you? I gotta just ask you before we come off the spaceship. What do you think of the current state of hip hop right now? People are right now. They're saying we took a hit because of certain situations, but I don't like Method Man says that's not hip hop,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I'm
Yeah.
just I want to hear your opinion. What's the current state of hip hop right
I'm
now?
actually really invigorated by the state of hip hop. I mean, you think about it, we have new albums from LL Cool J,
Yes.
Eminem,
Mhm.
Common,
Yep.
and Pete Rock.
Yep.
Q-Tip worked on the LL record. Like legend, these are all dudes in their 50s putting
Yes.
out solid ass albums. And to me, what I love about it is it shows and proves something that I commented on before, and that is hip hop itself is in its 51st year, right?
Yeah.
We're celebrating this culture, and that's now 5 decades long. So you
Hmm.
have to understand that people who grew up in the culture literally also grew up in the culture. And so hip hop is no longer just about the kids. 40s, 50s, 60s. I think Chuck
Yeah.
D and Ice D and Africa Bambaataa, like not Africa Bambaataa, DJ Cool Herc, who founded
Yeah.
hip hop. Like these are we're older now, and hip hop has grown up. So the idea that hip hop belongs only to a certain section of people, i.e., the young crowd,
Mm.
is complete horseshit. Like hip hop is now so much bigger than that. That it's a worldwide. It involves everybody and of any culture, of any ethnicity, all over the world, and
Hmm.
of any age. There's those two dudes, Pete and Bass, out in England who are senior citizens spitting like they're dope. If you don't know about Pete and
Yeah.
Bass, look up Pete and Bass. Like these are two old,
I think
old
I did
crusty
see
white
those
dudes
guys. Yeah, yeah,
spitting.
yeah. I think I seen it
So
on IG.
Yeah.
He's talking
so
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
my only thing is, we got to be accepting of all of the different things that is hip hop. And by the way, we're actually only just speaking about the music, the MCs. I teach hip hop songwriting, and when I do my workshops, especially with the younger youth, I ensure that they know that hip hop is a culture. So when you're talking about DJs on the ones and twos, that's hip hop.
Yes.
Graffiti art, bombing is hip hop. Obviously,
Breakdancing.
breakdancing, b-boying and b-girling was just showcasing the Olympics. That's hip hop. And I don't stop at the four elements. Beatboxing is hip hop.
Hip
Beat
hop.
making is hip
Hip
hop.
hop.
The fashion, the
Sampling.
language that we speak, all of these things, the fashion, the language, the look, it's all hip hop.
Hip
And it
hop.
is a culture because we're creating new language. The word bling didn't exist until they made a record in 1998. Now people use the word bling all the time. Hip hop
Yes.
is changing the way we act and think and speak. And like, bro, it's the greatest thing ever, bro. I live
And,
for this culture, bro.
and
So
one thing you left
I don't
out,
let the music ruin it. There's
what
bad music, but I don't.
is
It's,
reviews. I'm gonna bring it again. It's very important. Reviews, because when I
yeah.
started to listen to like your album, and not just yours, I'm doing reviews of old albums because to
Dope.
educate the youth or anybody who forgot. When you
Hmm.
listen to it, it's like therapy listening to these albums over again. Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give you an example. I listened to DMX's his first album. When
Right.
you listen to that, it's a master. Now you see why he was so big, his impact. Because that
Yeah.
album, the beats, the lyrics, like he's one of the best. He's
I
one
think
of the
that's one
best.
of the I think that's one of the beautiful things about where hip hop is today is that it's old enough for us to go back and dig in the crates and go, man, this album from 20 something years ago is a class. I just did the Raekwon show and I'm realizing, only built for Cuban links next year is 30. It's
Damn.
30 years old, and that's still his best shit. It's such an incredible album from
Yes.
top to bottom. So when you can now we get the opportunity to speak about hip hop music, the culture at large, yes, but the music as historic, as iconic, as legendary, as having set the foundation for how we grew up. And we can listen to the beats and the rhymes and what they meant. And it can even mean something different to us now. Because now that we hear an album like that 30 years later, we can go, yo, this really, I mean, it's hitting me different. Things hit me different. Like, for example, when I became a father, certain things hit me different.
Yeah.
Certain movies,
Yep.
shows, like it hits you different. It's like
Yep.
music the same. So there's older records that, bro, I've been killing the 80s, man. I grew up in the 80s. Now I'm listening to all this 80s music and I made a
Yep.
playlist on Spotify and my daughter's listening to it and she likes
Yep.
it. And I'm like, man, I was younger than you when these records came out and they resonate in a way that now as I'm older, they hit different, but man, are they beautiful songs.
It's
And that's what I
therapy.
strive
Trust
to
me.
be as an artist. And hip hop, I'm so thankful, is now something that we can brag about and go, yeah, we got classics going back decades that have stood the test of time. So
Facts.
I love.
Facts.
I'm all in love with what's going on with hip hop. If I don't like it, I don't listen to it. It's that simple.
I like what you just said there,
Period.
man. But yo,
Yeah.
Daniel,
Yeah, man.
thanks for coming through once again. Our alumni always
Thank you,
support,
bro.
man.
Man,
Always
he's like
supporting.
now I have to say he's like a hip hop professor now, man.
Hip
Legit.
hop professor.
Yeah, man, he has his degree. You know what I mean?
The
Yo,
hip
that's
hop
real. That's
professor.
that's real talk. I mean, legitimately, man. Listen, anybody. I might as well say this. Anybody who's interested in taking any one of my hip hop songwriting workshops, log on to
Okay.
nextgenerationarts.ca. I'm working with them. I just finished our third project with them, and I'm literally a student of the game and a professor of the game. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to like share that with everybody. And I appreciate all the love, man. It really does mean a lot.
It's much respect, man. And tell the people once again where they could get your album. The name is Vigilante.
Yes,
And
sir.
where they can follow you at, man.
Let's go. The Vigilante album is out right now. So, of course, it is streaming everywhere. Wherever you stream music, Danny O Vigilante is available for you to peep. If you want the vinyl or the CD, if you're not hitting me up directly at one of my shows or just hollering at me because you're in the city of Toronto, you can go to dannyo.com, spelt just like you see it, dan-e-o.com. Urbnet.com is the label, URBNET. That's the label. The it is available there. And if you don't want to grab it online and you want to hit up a store, I recommend Play to Record at 411 Spadina Avenue in Toronto.
One more
And
thing,
wherever
one more
you live, order the record online or at your local record store. Let them know they need to be stocking Vigilante. It's available worldwide, y'all.
One more thing. Can you give Down to Earth Podcast a shout out before we go?
Oh, of course, all day. Yo, this is your bro, Danny Yo, the Vigilante. You are now tuned into the Down to Earth Podcast. This is where hip hop lives, baby. Let's go.
Respected that, man. You heard it here from the one and only legendary Danny O with my brother Sean Myrie with the
Yes, sir.
Rastafari Samurai, never leaving you dry in your eye. I approve this message nationwide. You done know.
Respect, man.
Yes, sir.